Hello and welcome to Awaz News. I'm Simona Kutoni and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada. Retired priest charged with indecent assault after Manitoba residential school investigation. Pride is more than just like a party. Protest to replace weekend parade in Thunder Bay, Ontario. Ontario First Nations request federal support to extend Indian Day school claims deadline. Peel police searching for male suspect after woman found dead inside Brampton home. Thousands of York University workers could walk off the job July 1st if contract agreement not reached. Revlon files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in United States. Urgent changes needed to ensure CSIS can carry out intelligence mandate. Ottawa Police says this year's Canada Day will see unprecedented security response. So those were the headlines. Now let's jump right into the details. A retired priest has been charged with indecent assault in connection with a decade-long RCMP investigation into a Manitoba residential school. Retired Father Arthur Mess, who is 92, was charged in connection with the assault on a 10-year-old girl who was a student at the Fort Alexander Residential School northeast of Winnipeg. The alleged assault occurred between 1968 and 1970, police said at a news conference today. The victim in this case has endured a lot throughout the investigation process and has stood firm in speaking out about what happened to her, RCMP spokesperson Surgeon Paul Menigere said at the news conference today. More than 50 years later, the Pride celebration held across North America, often on or close to the anniversary of the event, bear little resemblance to that uprising against police repression that served as a catalyst for the gay rights movement. As the two-spirit lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community has gained acceptance from the dominant culture and even recognition as a lucrative consumer group, Pride events have at times become a source of tension in the community. Some embrace them as a colorful cultural celebration of liberties already won. Others regret seeing Pride being used by the corporation and in marketing campaign, while the continued struggle of more marginalized members of the community are moved to the sideline. Those perspectives will be juxtaposed tomorrow in the Thunder Bay, beginning with the protest march called Pride is a Protest, which has the support of city's established Pride organizer, Thunder Pride. Later in the day, Thunder Pride and the Rainbow Collective will hold two events more conventionally associated with the Pride, an afternoon street festival and a nighttime drag show. The Chiefs of Ontario are the latest First Nations leader to express concern with the fast approaching deadline to apply for the class action settlement for those who suffered harm while attending the federally run Indian Day schools. In 2019, Canada signed a $147 billion settlement with thousands of former students of the federally funded day school system. While separate from the residential school system, Indian or federal day schools were a part of the federal policy aimed at assimilating Indigenous children and often had affiliation to the Roman Catholic, United Anglican, and other churches. Nearly 700 day schools operated across Canada are between 1863 and 2000. The claims process opened in January 2020 and the deadline to submit a claim for compensation is July 13th. 45 chiefs in attendance at this week's assembly signed a joint letter to the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and the federal minister requesting a 2-year extension of the deadline. The letter also requests that the settlement agreement may be amended to ensure survivors are able to change the levels of compensation in their claim and that in support is available for claimants beyond the call center. Peel police are looking for the 29-year-old intimate partner of a woman who was found dead inside a Brampton house this morning. Shortly after 6 a.m. today, officers were called to an address near Aloma Crescent and Avondale Boulevard, which is in the vicinity of Bramley Road and Steeles Avenue. The initial call was for a disturbance, but once on the scene, police located an adult woman suffering from obvious signs of trauma. She was pronounced dead on the scene. They're asking for the public's help to locate a 29-year-old Lionel Alfonso Ritchie of Brampton, who is believed to be involved in this incident. He is wanted for murder and should be considered armed and dangerous, police said. Thousands of workers at the York University could be on strike by Canada Day. York University Staff Association, which represents administrative, technical, and laboratory staff on campus, has been without a contract since July 31, 2021. Despite meeting with the York University 25 times to negotiate, the two sides remained at an impasse. Back on April 29th, York University requested the appointment of a provincial conciliation officer. They then asked for no board report in an effort to bring in collective bargaining to a successful conclusion on June 8 after an agreement once again failed to be reached. A neutral third-party mediator is now meeting with the both sides in an effort to reach a successful conclusion. Revlon, the 90-year-old multinational beauty company, has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, weighed down by the debt load, disruption to its supply chain network, and surging costs. The New York-based company said that upon court approval, it expects to receive $575 million in financing from its existing lender, which will allow it to keep its day-to-day operations running. Today's filing will allow Revlon to offer our consumer the iconic product we have delivered for decades, while providing a clear path for our future growth, said Deborah Perlman, who was the named Revlon president and CEO in 2018. A new watchdog report says Canada's spy service has failed to make the crucial process of applying for court warrant a specialized trait that requires training, experience, and investment. The report by the National Security and Intelligence Review Agency called for fundamental changes to the relationship between Canadian Security Intelligence Service and its legal counsel at the Department of Justice. The reviewers heard repeated concern from the interviewees that systematic problem rooted in the governance and the cultural issue risk creating an intelligence service incapable of fulfilling its mandate. A federal judge called for the comprehensive review in 2020 after ruling CSIS failed to disclose its reliance on information that was likely collected illegally in support of warrant to probe extremism. Federal Court Justice Patrick Gleason found the spy service breached its duty of candor to the court, part of a long-standing pattern. An Ottawa police officer says this year will see an unprecedented and unique Canada Day with a never-before-seen security posture in the city. The officer says this year is the first time that Ottawa Police will be the police of jurisdiction for the main Canada Day event. Police and Canadian Heritage held a technical briefing today on plans for July 1st in which media were only allowed to participate on the condition that officials not to be named. Heritage Canada says this year's Canada Day celebration will largely take place in Le Breton Flat Park City, along with the events taking place in Place des Festivals ZB in Gatineau. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Simona Cutoni, and I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.